Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grip Locked, Foundation Disc Golf's weekly podcast. I'm Hunter, joined as always by Trevor. Connor's out of town today, so we're holding down the fort as much as we can. But before we get into today's episode, let's take a moment to thank our sponsors. Today's episode is brought to you by Manscaped. March Madness is here. Not everyone has the perfect bracket, but you can have the perfect grooming routine this tournament season with the sponsors of today's show, Manscaped. They are the leaders in below-the-waist grooming, and they have just launched their Ultra Premium Collection to give you the total championship hygiene routine. After sweating out the games, make sure you lather up head to toe with this all-in-one skin and hair care kit to have your body smell in Final Four fresh, kind of like Duke. Join the 4 million. I just jinxed us so bad.
Yeah, that was
awful.
tough.
What am I thinking? Kind of like UNC. Saved it. Join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with our exclusive offer. Go to manscaped.com and use the code GRIPLOCKED for 20% off plus free shipping. This is a Cinderella story that you're not going to want to miss. When the clock winds down in March, be clutch and avoid the upset with Manscaped Ultra Premium Collection to keep everything under control.
You thought that was good, but want to take your grooming game even further to the next level? The Performance Package 4.0 also includes the Weed Whacker to chop your worst weeds up top in your nose and ear. The Weed Whacker is also waterproof and uses a 9,000 RPM motor-powered 360-degree rotary dual-blade system. This nose and ear hair trimmer provides proprietary skin-safe technology which helps prevent nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate holes.
Yeah, so also on their Ultra Premium Collection, the package includes Manscaped Premium Deodorant, not for your balls, but for your stanky armpits. This deodorant dries clear, is aluminum-free, smells like their signature scent, also has hydrating body moisturizer, body wash, 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner, plus a free gift, a 3-pack of lip balm that's made up of ingredients such as vitamin E, peppermint, eucalyptus oil. Keep those chappers feeling moist. I recommend using them in this order. Hop in the shower and scrub-a-dub-dub that body with a Manscaped body wash. Lather up your hair with a 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. Keep your noggin toggin. And dry off and spray on the hydrating body moisturizer to reinvigorate the skin. And then finally put on some Manscaped deodorant for obvious reasons. But don't forget, whether you're getting the Lawnmower 4.0 and that package or the Ultra Premium package, be sure to use code GRIPLOCK to get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code GRIPLOCKED over at manscaped.com. Make sure you call in Manscaped this tournament season. So this past weekend, we went to Dallas for our first Bogey Bro battles of the year. Really good time. We're not going to spoil them yet because one will come out tomorrow and the other one will come out next week. And then we also got some Texas State's course footage that'll come out later this week. And I think we'll also hold one of the final videos with collab with another YouTube channel called Timo Disc Golf, a little disc golf YouTube channel. That'll come out a few weeks from now. But really fun trip, ton of fun. Thursday when we arrived, we played Dash's Track with a few Heiser Club members.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was a good time. If you're anywhere that we're going to be going to do some Bogey Bro battles, we'll probably try to do a Heiser Club meetup of some type. So if you're not a Heiser Club member, be sure to check that out. You can head over to patreon.com/Foundation Disc Golf and learn more about the Heiser Club. But had, I think, 5 or 6 of them show up somewhere around there and played Dash's Track, which was a little like pitch and putt course. Super fun. And then Friday, trekked on out to Tyler, Texas, which was like 2 hours about. Yeah. Played the Texas State courses. They're playing like a safari course this year, which is a really good time. A lot more open than previous courses. And then we also played Dogwood, which is what they played previously. In that video, we tried to see if we could beat Ricky's hot round from last year at Dogwood. So that was a good time. And then Saturday, we didn't do anything else Friday night. We did an escape room Friday night.
Escape room? What do you mean, dude? We escaped
that was
the zombie
best.
apocalypse.
I was going to say, we did that. We can spoil all we want. We got out of the escape room in 35 minutes. And about 25 minutes of that was trying to figure out the first clue. Then once we got that figured out,
super easy.
Once we got that figured out, we just got to it and we were like, oh, that was the end.
Yeah, it's like if you could figure out the very first thing, which was like quite a leap to figure out.
Yes.
If you could get past that,
the rest
of it was very easy.
We accidentally solved 3 other things.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out the first thing. One of them I still, to this day, have no idea how we did. We were supposed to like get a bunch of gears and I only had like half the gears and then I just spun it and then the drawer popped out. I was like, that wasn't it, but it worked.
Too easy.
So we did that on Friday night. Then Saturday morning we got up. We did our first battle against 2 of the guys from the Easy 3 group out at the Woods at Trinity. Probably my favorite course in Dallas.
Oh, definitely.
It's incredible. It's not quite difficult enough to be like on the Pro Tour, but it's scenic enough.
You probably could make it if you laid down like a lot of the more open holes. Because like the wooded holes are pretty tough. You might have to change some of the pars. But if you laid down some OB on those open ones or maybe move the pins a little closer to the water even, It could be pro
It's
level.
very scoreable. It could be a Silver Series event
Yeah.
for sure.
It's just gorgeous, and it has the best looking disc golf hole I've ever seen in my entire life.
Hole 3.
Hole 3 at Trinity is picturesque. It's insane.
Yeah, so we played against two guys out there. Super fun. Probably about 15, 20 people showed up to watch it. It was pretty fun. They were a little more reserved. The afternoon, Harry Myers, who played against Trevor's old roommate, Pete, and one of his buddies, Austin, they called their team name Taller Than You, which was funny because they were taller than us.
They were.
And that group, probably about the same size, like 15 to 20 different people that came out to watch.
They were ruthless.
They heckled us. They let us have it. It was a good time, though. It was exactly what we wanted. So that was a lot of fun out at Harry Myers. Again, you can check those out coming out pretty soon on our main YouTube channel. And then we wrapped up the Saturday with a round at Autobahn, this golf course.
Yes.
Which,
good time.
Yeah, a great time.
Yeah.
Apparently, someone DM'd me about it. Apparently, it was used for Texas State's as like an alternate course back a few years ago. I don't know if the pros played it or if it was like someone else.
It seems kind of easy,
but it was just like a fun park style course.
Yeah.
Definitely a good time. And then that was it. We wrapped it up, flying back home yesterday morning just in time to get home, settle in, and watch Duke beat Michigan State. Perfect timing.
Congratulations on that.
I had to sweat it out. I thought for sure we were going to lose, but we didn't. So it was a good time. You'll definitely have to check out the Bogey Bro battles when they come out. The other thing that happened this past weekend in Texas, but we weren't there, was the Open at Belton.
But,
yeah, a lot less important.
Yeah.
The Open at Belton. Actually, I was just on the phone with Brody, and it's a Silver Series event. And he said that he thinks that if he had to guess, there was about 1,000 people out there spectating at a Silver Series.
Yeah,
which is pretty impressive.
The field was as strong as just about anything. So, and I guess it's probably cheaper to spectate a Silver Series.
I don't
if
even
not
know
free. It might just
have
be
been
free. So, if you're
that
down
is something
in Texas,
that's fascinating. Is like we're at a point where I think we do need to be charging for spectators.
Yeah.
But if the Pro Tour charges too much, like it could hurt the growth of the Pro Tour, because like if there's an event really close or even within a few hours and it's free, that's one thing versus you have to pay like $40 for the weekend.
Yeah, you can never undervalue the grasp that you can get on people when they show up to see live sports. Like as soon as somebody you can try and get into a sport, but when you go watch it live, it captures you in a completely different way, and it makes you a fan so much more because you appreciate it more. So there is something to be said. There's definitely, it's like one of those things, and there's
you gotta find the line.
There's a line. It's just like everything in disc golf, where it's like, okay, where's the line of we need to make some revenue because we're putting on these events, but eventually there's going to be one where it's like, okay, it's not worth it because of how many spectators we're losing now. It's just you gotta find it.
I feel like $5 a day. That's a good general.
Yeah, $5 to $10 maybe depending on the venue.
The VIP pass, I think you can always charge a little bit more because you're giving extra stuff, and that's for diehard disc golf fans. The VIP package, so people are gonna be willing to pay a little bit more. But yeah, it would be interesting just to see if these tournaments were free, what would it look like? And maybe they'll have to test it. Maybe one of the tours events you go free, and the next one you go $5 and just see numbers. But you have to do comparable areas.
Right now, yeah, and it's all so dependent on the area. Right now, Texas has a big scene because there are some events. We were at USDGC last year. It's chaos. There's people everywhere. It's awesome. There's just massive galleries. It's like a giant festival over there. So, and then there's some where you just might be playing in an area to where there's going to be some local clubs that those guys might want to come and check it out, but it just might not be huge in that area. And it might not be an area where there's a lot of stuff around it, surrounding communities. Texas, there's just a lot of, I feel in Texas, every city has its own well-established disc golf community, and they're all going to travel to Texas events. So yeah, it's very dependent on that.
Yeah, it was definitely cool to hear though that it drew a good crowd, but Chris Dickerson was able to take it down. He got out the gates hot. I think he shot 12 under first round, 9 under second round, then kind of mellowed off at the end. Ricky and Paul were charging back after mediocre first rounds. Actually, Paul had a bad first round. Let's just put it where it is.
Yeah, Paul cost him the whole event at first round.
Yeah, but they were able to end up tied for second place. There were some moments where you felt like Dickerson might be losing it during the final round, but he did what he had to do, like you said.
Yeah.
He wasn't really.
I think his lead.
it out.
I think his lead was just big enough because like there was a lot of people that were in that the peloton, so to speak, that pack behind him, but he had 6 strokes, and like 6 strokes on Paul and Ricky and whoever, like that's no joke. Like that can disappear real fast. And frankly, with what he shot, if it wasn't so windy, which is probably also why he shot what he did, but like there was a chance for that kind of margin in the last round. But 6 strokes, I feel like if you're talking about 3, maybe 4 strokes, it's a little bit more conceivable. But all he needed to do was not blow up. And Chris Dickerson is typically not a player. Like he's a player that I feel like I would trust to hold on to a lead. And he did what he had to do, and good for him. I think we've kind of just been waiting for him to win this year because he seems pretty inevitable. I think Chris Dickerson is going to be I think he's like my pick for like captain consistent this year. I think him and Paul probably seem to be like the captain consistent guys that are just going to be, and maybe he's going to take kind of, because Calvin and Ricky haven't been quite as consistent, so maybe he'll kind of take their place this year. But he seems like he's going to be around. He'll probably win a major or at least be in the conversation. So I think Dickerson's going to have a good season.
Yeah, I mean, this was the first tournament that kind of seemed, to me at least, like the top 3 make sense.
Yeah.
Like Dickerson, Ricky, Paul.
Yeah.
Those 3, that's who you expect every week in and week out. You're like, all right, well, if I pick Paul, Ricky, Dickerson, or like throw Eagle or Heimberg in there, surely that's going to be the top 3. But up to this point, it's been like, nah, you're wrong.
Right.
But this week it made sense and it worked out.
Beyond that, jumbled mess.
Yes.
There's still
plenty of parity to go around.
But it was the case where, like they kind of separate themselves a little bit from the pack, and that's just kind of how it finished.
Yeah, and it would have been interesting to see if there was a 4th round to this event, because with a 3-round event, if you have a hot round to start and other people don't, like Chris did, it's pretty hard to lose it.
Yeah.
Versus that 4th round, that would have been just enough to bring it into question.
That's what I always say is I think that the 4th round is the great equalizer, because I think you need a 4th round to completely develop the narrative of a tournament. I think the narrative of this tournament was Chris goes out hot, can he hold on? And Paul starting off poorly, can he come back? And I think because you're like, well, that narrative did play out. Well, kind of, but you give it one more round, and it has
change.
Yeah, it has more time to play out, and it'd be more interesting because Paul got it closer. So I think I understand why the disc golf tournaments are a lot of times 3 rounds. Like there's a lot of logistics and expenses and touring and whatever. But I do think that there's a reason, like 4-round golf tournaments work. And I'm glad that our majors are 4 rounds because at the end of the day, that's important.
And it seems like most Elite Series events have been 4 rounds. Waco was 3. Vegas is 4. But I think
I'm pretty
forward,
sure most are 3.
Is Texas State 3 again?
I think we thought that it was, and then we looked and counted them because we were like seeing which events started on Wednesday, and we were like, oh, there's only like 3.
Maybe. I just thought it was trending more towards that, but regardless, I don't
know like all of what is stopping them. Honestly, I don't know if it could
be scheduling things.
Yeah,
like you can go get there a day later as a touring pro.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It might just have to do with travel with the touring pros, and because they're not flying, a lot of them are driving, so that might just be it. Just you need an extra day to travel.
Yeah,
but 4-round tournaments are superior because I was like, oh, this 3rd round, like whatever, like Dickerson has a pretty big lead, but like if we were going into the 4th round right now and Ricky and Paul nipping at his heels, like we have a really good setup. I'm curious to know how many 3-round tournaments this year we noticed that pattern, because we don't really pick it out enough to like how many tournaments are going to end and we're like, man, if there was one more round, the narrative of this tournament really would have had time to play out.
Yeah, I mean it is
what it is.
It's kind of like
not Chris's fault.
What I'm about to say isn't this person's fault either. But it's kind of like back in the day, 2016 USDGC when it ended early and Big Germ won, and obviously he won a major. You can't take that away from him. It was canceled early because of storms.
Yeah,
but the narrative was like Ricky was storming back during it, and so obviously like when it ended, a lot of people are like, people had counted out Germ winning in their head. A lot of people had. Because it wasn't canceled until the final day, like day of the final day. So a lot of people, like, the narrative wasn't so much can Germ hold on, or I guess that was the narrative. It wasn't like this tournament.
It seemed like a certainty, though.
Dickerson going into this round, it seemed like a certainty, but next round it wouldn't have been.
Right.
Similar story, except for this is just like there's only 3 rounds versus that was.
It's always
the tournament
that 4th round just always seems to smooth things out, and it just works when there's 4 rounds. You never feel like you got cheated out of any drama. in just 4 rounds. And I think we'll notice that pattern this year.
Yeah, on the FPO side, though, there was a pretty tight finish. We had Katrina Allen taking it down by 1. Valerie Mandujano came in second, and Kristen Tatar came in third.
Yeah.
But Valerie Mandujano was in the clubhouse at 15, forcing Katrina Allen to birdie 18. And then after Kat threw a good drive, it was mainly because Kat threw a pretty awful upshot on 17. Like, I don't even know. She was just trying to lay it up, and the wind kind of caught it and it rolled far away.
The wind was it's very tough in the wind. The wind was howling, but it wasn't good.
But on 18, Kat put it right under the bucket. So then Kristen was in a place where she very easily could have laid up and taken a birdie and tied Val for second, but instead ran it, went OB, and then hit like a 30-some footer for her par save to stay in third. So respect the heck out of that, because she's standing there. Very easy. It's like, just lock in second place. It's like, no.
That's that $500K guaranteed energy right there.
That's true.
You know what? It is actually interesting to think
Win or
about.
nothing.
Like, when more players start getting guaranteed money to where they're not scrapping for every dollar, like how much more aggressive they'll play when there's no if you
get in third place versus first
right,
place,
they're sitting on the edge and they're like, I'm not worried about where I finish unless it's first. Like, I just want to win and just see if players start going crazy.
It is a lot easier
aggressive.
to have that, because that's the mindset Paul's had, right? And it's a lot easier and Paige has had. It's a lot
we don't really
easier
talk
to
about.
have.
Like, that's a big advantage.
It's a lot easier to have that mindset when you don't have to worry about where you're cashing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason they got there in the first place. But
yes.
That actually is fascinating, because like Kristen, what is it going to be? A couple $100?
Yeah.
Like, run it, baby. Like, there's no problem.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Once you can lock down that guaranteed money, it's a double-edged sword, as we've seen.
Because it adds pressure.
But adds pressure, but also takes it off.
I think that we were talking about this a little bit on the trip, and I think a big contract, it depends a lot on the person, like the personality of who got it, as to what it does to them. Because like, if you're someone, maybe it's a confidence thing.
It is. You have to have its killer instinct.
Because if you have like Paul has the confidence to say, like, when he got his $1 million contract, like it almost freed him to a certain extent of like, I've earned this.
Yeah.
I can play without stress. But it seems like when Kona got it, it's almost like she's trying to prove to the world, I deserve this.
Right.
And it's like two sides of like, if you're a player and you get it and you have the self-confidence to be like, no, I earned this, I don't care what people say, then it's freeing of like, go do whatever you want.
And it just like, I think to anybody it might add pressure, but then like, when on earth have we ever seen guys like Paul or Ricky fold under pressure? And never. Like, those guys are robots. If they make mistakes, it's usually not really pressure that does it. So that I think that to anybody, you're right. Like, it's gonna have to do with, like, there's definitely, like, it's one thing when like the greatest of all time gets that contract. Like, nobody is questioning, did he deserve that? That automatically adds extra pressure, but no matter what pressure is added, it just all goes back to some players just kind of have it and some don't. Like, when it comes to just having that killer mentality, and that's what we're seeing. Yeah, no, for sure. So there you have it. That's the kind of wrap up of Texas. Let's go ahead into the fan favorite segment of Trevor's Trivia. Okay, so let's see what we have today, because I don't have Connor to go against. No, I know. I actually started doing. Are you battling against just like a blank TV started screen? Doing one last night, and I was like, well, this is really going to work better for when Connor's there. So I was like, all right, I'll save that for next week. So then I drew up a couple Who Am I's. I think these are actually. I love Who Am I. I know. I think these ones are pretty interesting. I like these because I like finding players that like confuse me when I read their like statistics. So I have an MPO and an FPO like normal. So I'll go with the MPO first. And I think the way I did these is I left like a couple clues toward. I'll read the first bunch, and then I left a couple clues towards the end that are quite a bit easier, and then I'll go to those if you need them. Okay. So MPO, only if you have like no clue. My first PDGA event was in 1996 as a junior. I have 43 wins for $178,000 in career earnings. I had 7 top 25 finishes on the Pro Tour last year. My last A-tier or better victory was the Maine State Championships in 2020. Nate Sexton? Why on earth did I say Nate Sexton after Maine? He's in Oregon. Dummy. That Maine State Championships was a Silver Series that year as well. Oh, okay. I'm currently based out of Hawthorne, Florida. I'm leaning towards Greg Barsby. I'm currently ranked 28th in the world. Okay. Barsby actually wasn't a bad guess, but he's not based out of Florida. Pretty sure he's a California guy.
No, he's definitely. But like so many people are based out of weird places now.
I think that this player is from where I'm almost positive he's from where he is based out of.
96. Johnny McRae?
No.
I'm just trying to think of Florida people.
I'm known for my questionable sense of style.
Garrett Gerthy.
That's the confusing one, is because he played his first
96.
event.
How old is Garrett?
Junior 3 boys in 96.
Oh.
So he was like young. He just got into disc golf super early. And that's what confused me. I was like, oh, that's going to throw him way off. 96. Yeah. FPO. My first professional event was in 2011. I have 71 career wins for $102,000 in earnings. Career. My best finish on the Pro Tour last year was second, but I did win 2 A tiers. I'm currently ranked outside the top 10 in the world. I'm based out of California. Any clue yet? My last Pro Tour win was Ledgestone, but I'm not going to say which year.
What? Their first pro event was 2011?
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating. Okay. And their
best finish on the Pro Tour last year was second, but I won 2 A tiers.
Currently playing.
Ranked outside the top 10 currently. My last Pro Tour win was Ledgestone. I'm not going to say which year it was.
Who won Ledgestone? Sarah Hokum?
No. She's definitely ranked in the top 10.
Yeah, you're right. Dang. It's hard to remember all of the points. I'm getting caught on like one thing.
I was a Disc Golf Pro Tour All-Star this year.
Who on earth were
did I say
All-Stars?
Did I say I'm based out of California? I think I did.
Yeah, you did. Lisa Fakis?
Mm-mm.
All-Star.
The Ledgestone victory was in 2018.
That doesn't help me at all.
Or didn't you play in it that year?
No, I played in 2017.
2017. Okay. I was thinking, I thought that you would, I didn't say the date originally because I was like, I think Hunter played in it this year. And he's just going to know it right away.
Gosh, who's won Ledgestone? It's like, that's got to be a weird winner. And not be in the top 10 either. What is their world ranking?
I mean, I think it's like 12th or 13th if I remember.
Jessica Weiss?
Yep. That's it.
She won Ledgestone.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, sneaky, right? I totally forgot about that.
My brain is dead today because I couldn't even think of players' names.
You get too far outside like the top 10, and then you also had somebody who won
that
Pro
was
Tour.
a tough one.
That is tricky. She might be like the only player outside of the top. Well, no, that's not true.
Well, you were saying like all these players, like when you got to like accolades, how many wins and stuff, I was like, okay, it's a player that's been around a long time. But like for some reason, Jessica Weiss doesn't feel like a player that's been
radar.
around. Yeah.
She has been around for a long time.
I know. It just doesn't feel like it. Saw this pop up on Ultiworld on March 16th, which it's been, 5 days now? That USDGC has signed a 5-year contract with Winthrop. Now, I feel like this was old news, but it just got posted, so like surely it's not. But USDGC, this is new news to me. This year, USDGC will move its tournament from a Wednesday to Saturday format to the more traditional Thursday to Sunday one, and return to USDGC schedule from tournaments early years. So I think they went to the Wednesday to Saturday when they made like Sunday the fan day.
The fan day, which is like you shouldn't change the entire structure of a tournament just for a fan day.
Yeah, and they said that
it's going to help spectating.
They're also work to continue to expanding its parking because it's become a limiting factor for ticket sales. And they said we're not near capacity in terms of what the lakefront area can handle people on the course, so we are at capacity for parking, said Poole, which I thought was pretty cool to see the continued growth of the sport. They're also reducing the number of qualifying spots from selected tournaments from 5 to 4. It doesn't really say reduction allows more tournaments to be included. So they're not really trying to reduce the field size. Just some tournaments aren't going to have as many qualifications added. They did post the qualifying schedules, it looks like, for the event. It looks like the first one is Texas State's.
Okay. Wow.
So I guess the previous one.
No, they already go scroll up. They already have the.
Oh, they have ones that have already qualified up
Yeah.
here. Okay. That makes more sense. I was gonna say, why would it start at Texas State? Texas State is the next one.
Yeah.
And then they also have additional players. Oh, this is fascinating. Is this normal? The U.S. Amateur Champion, the AM World Champion, College Disc Golf Men's Singles Champion. will be getting invites.
That's cool. I don't know that is normal. I think the AM champion or US AM champion would get in. I mean, in previous years, they would play on the lead card.
They also have like the United States Masters champion.
I like that they're including
Masters
the college
World
in
champion.
that. Well, that's the Innova link up right there.
Yeah. USAM, the Deaf National champion, US Women's champion, which that's funny. Because like it's a tournament that you kind of think US Women's is happening.
Yeah.
And they're like, US Women's champion's going to qualify. Wait, will she qualify for throw pink?
Yes. The U.S. Women's Champion will qualify for the throw pink, which is at the course that we.
Oh, yeah, no, I know, but. Oh, okay. So Missy Gannon, Katrina Allen, Paige Pierce have already qualified for throw pink. And then United States Masters Champion, Masters World Champion, and the FPO Deaf Disc Golf Champion. They also have the Evolving Media Plan, which is what I believe we've talked about, but it's a little bit more in depth here. So basically, the Disc Golf Network will be broadcasting the event again, like they have in the past, but the live round will actually be available to Disc Golf Network subscribers, so you won't have to do the additional pay-per-view, which is great.
Probably smart. It'll gain them a ton of members.
But there is an additional pay-per-view required to watch post-produced condensed coverage. Jomez, other YouTube productions are not going to be there. And this is a fascinating quote for me from Jonathan Poole, who's like one of the main guy doing the tournament directing and stuff like that. It said, "For our majors, I'm struggling to see a need for post-produced coverage in that capacity," said Poole. "If you're making the live streams available for replay behind a paywall in their entirety, I think that's fine. If you have a broadcast or editing team that's willing to go back and condense that footage, that makes sense as well." So basically he's saying like he's struggling to see the need for post-produced.
Well, yeah, I'd be struggling too YouTube. Because like you own like what? And I mean, the only reason I would see there to be a need is if you're going to be able to sell the rights to a company like Jomez for like a ton of money.
Yeah,
like,
which is what the Pro Tour was able to do.
Right. So like because the Pro Tour, yeah, there's an option. The paywall is not steep because now there's no additional pay-per-view. So like you can replay the live stream or whatever. Like, yeah, I agree with them. I wonder what the price would be for if they were to offer it up.
I have no idea.
But they definitely like.
I'm wondering, do you think the Disc Golf Network paid anything to get pay-per-view removed, or do you think it was just like a agreement between them all?
I think it was just probably an agreement. I think that it's interesting that the USDGC guys are big live disc golf guys. They're like very much like on the live disc golf train, and like there's going to be post-produced. So like it's not like I would be like, "Ooh, wow, interesting." If there was no option, but there is going to be an option. So. I think the most interesting thing about this entire article is the fact that it's only a 5-year contract.
Well, yeah. Well, did you read it all down here?
Continue.
So the disc golf progression into a pro sport. This is like a whole separate block in this thing. I guess they just interviewed Jonathan Poole about a little bit more, and they're talking about different things. And then it looks like this is from Poole. It says tournaments too are starting to modernize. This isn't a direct quote from him, but it's in the article. Tournaments too are starting to modernize. It wasn't very long ago that only USDGC was charging admission fees. Now most tournaments were free to spectate. Now Pro Tour stops are selling out. And this is from Poole. It says it's almost like an evolution to a true sport, said Poole, and we all need to get on the same page about how to handle that. And then one area that he pointed to as a key focus in the coming years is selecting the right location for the biggest disc golf tournaments. Venue selection is going to be critical in the next 10 years. Where are we going and why? And do they have the infrastructure to support it? It's not just about the course anymore.
Very true.
Now, he's not saying that directly about USDGC.
Yeah. Well,
but
it's interesting because
I feel as though like you're not just kind of thinking through that unless you're thinking about your tournament as well.
I think that it's interesting because Winthrop to me accommodates gallery, like their gallery plus, and this is coming from somebody who has spectated live at it.
Winthrop could prove to be insufficient as a host venue in the future since it is a multi-use sports facility.
Yeah, I think that Winthrop, there's no issue getting around it as a gallery. I'll put it this way. There are way more courses on tour that are so much worse than Winthrop. So I just wonder that the 5-year deal, I wonder on whose end that was like, because a lot of times you see sports like events sign contracts. They're like 10 years kind of the standard for like a PGA Tour event to be at a certain venue. I feel like 10 years is a pretty popular number. And I wonder if it was like Winthrop is like, we're not going to commit to more than 5 years because we don't necessarily want that and we want to see how things work out. Or if it was the USDGC people, like we don't want to commit to more than 5 years because we don't like the price or we don't know what it's going to look like, because I don't know. The future of Winthrop is really weird. I'm not sure, because like I said, like right now, I mean, I think they accommodate a gallery and all that stuff way better than like pretty much anywhere, because there's just so much open space. Because it is such a sprawling campus and not just a disc golf course, they can do, throwing games and stuff and vending, like all at the same, like it's all right there. It's all in one area. It's not like you got to drive to a Fly Mart or something. It's like one big party. The only issue is obviously it's a college campus. So like, that college campus has to block off all of everything for that entire weekend. And there is, holes that like, there's going to be guys taking batting practice on the baseball field while literally like potentially hitting balls into the play.
Yeah.
Like while we're playing that hole. So like, it's the trickiest thing, because if Winthrop would have come along like now, like let's just say it just like was implemented as a new course, I think genuinely we would all think it was stupid.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think you and I would be on this podcast right now. Now, we'd watch it play out, and I think we'd still think the course is cool, because the course is pretty cool.
We'd be like, you can't be playing with baseball practice going on.
Yeah, we'd be like, what on earth are they doing, like, playing disc golf on this college campus? Like, this is basically urban disc golf. Like, there is this very big block of nostalgia that keeps us, like, loving that course, and that's pretty much, that is the sole reason. I do think that there's going to be a time where they're obviously going to have to move on. I think that 5-year deal is probably just like, I think it's the last contract they're ever going to sign with them.
It wouldn't surprise me.
That's my take, is I think that 5-year deal, so whatever, the 2027 USDGC might be the last one ever at Winthrop. And I think by then, I think they're going to have a plan in place to move it, and it's going to be sad. I
feel as though they
can capture it.
I feel as though the way like questions are being asked and answered and in this article and some other things,
well, they have a plan.
I feel like they already have a plan in place, and it might be a thing of Innova saying, or I guess US Disc Golf or whatever the organization is saying, we need 5 years to fully iron it out.
Yeah.
To basically be like, we need 5 years to get the course, everything built and established and ready for this tournament.
It is going to be a really tough transition, because like there is just nothing like it. That course, like you can just see it in the players' eyes, like how much more it means to them to win at that course because of how hard it is, and like because they know the history. And there's just not a lot of history in disc golf, and that's like the one thing we have. Like we have a 20+ year history at that course with that tournament.
But I mean, that's the thing we have to look at, though.
No, it's only 20 years.
20 years
You're right.
from now, we'll have that same history.
You're exactly right.
Course.
And I do think that now is the time. We
got to do it early.
There's so many new players right now. Like, I mean, what did we just gain? Did we just jump like how many % in membership?
No, but
just in the last year?
Here's the thing too about USDGC though, is for us and I'll say the majority of disc golfers that got into the sport somewhere around the time we did and have been in the pro scene enough, USDGC is like the tournament. It means the world. Yeah. It's so crazy. But for a lot of new disc golfers that are kind of into the sport, getting into it, watching it, they're not going to pay to watch USDGC.
Right.
So they've never seen it. So they don't care.
That's what I'm saying.
I've gotten
that
response multiple times of like, why do y'all care about USDGC so much?
No, that's what I think now is the time to make the change.
But I'm wondering if they're hurting themselves and hurting the future of
by
USDGC.
Keeping it there?
By keeping it just behind the paywall. Like, I feel like there's got to be... even if it's delayed 30 days, I think they've done that in the past. There's something. There's got to be some way for the at-home fan to consume it.
Well, I mean, yes,
for free.
But also, like, to be fair, you can, if you really want to consume the USDGC, you can consume like all the previous years, and that is the beauty about it, is it's the same tournament. So, like, if you're just trying to understand it, like, you can watch so many previous years.
Sure.
But I don't know.
I'm just saying, like, I think that's going to hurt USDGC in the long run, because no other tournament is doing that right now. If every tournament was live only, it'd be one thing. But USDGC is like the most special in a lot of ways, I think. But it's going to be probably one of the least watched majors. When you factor it all together, it's going to be probably the least watched major of the year.
For sure. I think that that's
messed up, I think.
Well, I don't think it's messed up.
Well, it's messed up because of how much I love USDGC. That like more people don't get to watch it.
Right.
Is what's messed up.
But you're assuming that because like it's really cheap. especially now with no additional pay-per-view. So you're basically assuming that nobody's going to be able to stumble upon it, essentially.
Exactly.
And that's valid.
And also, there's a lot of people who still won't pay it.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. There are people, but I think they're basically just betting on word of mouth. It wouldn't surprise me.
It'll be a lot more viewed than last year's.
Yeah.
But
it wouldn't surprise me if they had a price out there for post-produce and just nobody jumped on it. Maybe that's what it is.
True too.
Because the thing is, at the end of the day, they have to make a business decision, and if they need to make this much money to pay for that venue, and they know, because guess what? If you do have post-produce, you're going to lose live viewers. You will. That's just the nature of it. So they have to make that bet. Okay, if we can't get this much from Joe Mez or whoever, then our numbers are kind of tight. We just have to bet on, because post-produce isn't going to make them any money unless they sell the rights.
Is the Disc Golf Network buying rights?
I have no idea.
There's got. I mean, obviously, Innova's.
I would say
money
it's
off
more
of
likely.
viewers.
I would say it's more likely a split. And I think the pay-per-view is probably the easiest way for them to work that split. Disc Golf Network's probably like, hey, you let us broadcast it. We're going to gain members anyways. We'll give you the pay-per-view or big cut of it. And
Well,
it
there's
might
not pay-per-view though.
Well, this year. Last year there was. So this year I'm guessing that they just restructured it somehow to maybe like, for any additional members we gain, we'll give you this much or whatever. They found out something. I think that USDGC is a very tightly run financial like event, to where I think they're just trying to make their numbers with the way it is right now. So that's what I'm saying. I think they were just like, okay, well, if we can't get this much from post-produce, we have to just take our next bet to make the most money. And that's it. It's just like, that might have just been the bottom line.
Yeah,
it's not the perfect way, but
no, it's just something to think through. Of like, same thing we were just talking about with spectators. Is there's a line of where like you got to make money from the tournament, but you also don't want to hinder the growth of the tournament and the sport by cutting out certain things. Because like in my head, the best case scenario is you do the live and then like 2 weeks later you release the post.
Yeah,
or something along those lines. But someone like the Pro Tour pays for that right to have it on their YouTube channel.
Right.
Or
it should
Spin
be,
TV does it so that Innova can monetize it.
I would say
whatever.
if they're just not even like opening up the consideration of having somebody buy those rights, then I'm like, yeah, that's kind of silly. I don't know why they would do that. Because I think that as long as the whole argument against post-produce really from us was, first of all, we're like, you should support live if you can. But then also it was like, they're getting this coverage and then making a ton of money off of it. And it's not their product.
The biggest argument for me is it should all be under one roof, but the Pro Tour's found a way to make it where they can still make money off of it and it not be under one roof.
And that's what's important. You're putting on an event. It's your product. You're paying the players. Like, you should get the money from that media. So I don't know. I don't know what their decision is on that and why. I think honestly what may just be going on is, like, from what we've talked to from those guys, they're just very passionate about live disc golf, and they just might just be like, you know what? Fine. We're going to be the ones that just cut it, and we're just going to do that.
Now, what I will say, though, is up to this point, pretty much every controversial decision that Innova has made with USDGC has eventually been echoed by the rest of disc golf. Pretty much everyone. From paying for spectators, or like spectators having to pay to watch, the fly mart. I don't know what else Innova innovated is, but like fly marts. When you go on the grounds at USDGC, it feels different, right? And then you go to next like tour events over the next year or two, and you start to notice things that get implemented.
Yeah, they're always groundbreakers.
Yeah, and they always do stuff like this, like the pay-per-view, right? Where everyone's like, what the heck? What are you doing that for? And then a few years down the road, you start to see that type of thing implemented. So it wouldn't surprise me, like we've seen Innova say live coverage only. They might honestly be saying live coverage only. We're choosing not to have post-produced, and they might know the numbers or whatever, and it kind of falls back to the paying the players. Innova could just be geniuses, and they're like, this is where the sport's going. This is how it's going to be. And like 5 years from now, the rest of the sport's just going to be like that. We're like, hey, remember when we thought Innova was crazy for only doing this? Well, now that's what the sport is. That's just how it is.
There's definitely a lot of like aggressive stances being taken by companies, not necessarily in just the things that they say, but just like the way they're operating right now, to where like a few years down the road, we're just going to know who was smart and who was dumb.
Well, the other thing that's fascinating too about USDGC is like at any point, like the PDGA currently doesn't have, I guess you could say, control over it to a certain degree. because it's like Innova's event. Like the thing isn't even functioning under normal standard like PDGA rules to where like the ratings haven't counted for years at the event, and it's a PDGA major. So like clearly Innova kind of is getting its way with it, but it's at any point the PDGA could say, hey, obey our rules, do X, Y, or Z, move the date off of this, or we're gonna have to figure out something else and pull a major from it at any point. And like
the PDGA does something like that though, that is like they know that if they did something like that, people would just start writing off the PDGA.
Would they though?
I think so. Because I think there are things that like I don't think people care about the PDGA. They care about,
but it's a major. That's the tough part.
Right.
If they were to get the U.S. Open happens as a major in April now,
I think,
or in May.
No, I think if the PDGA ticks off disc golf too much, then like there are other entities like the Pro Tour that can separate from them, and it doesn't matter. Like they don't need the Pro Tour doesn't need the PDGA. They've merged kind of now. I don't really know why. I don't know. Like they have rules and like they're a governing body, but like you can make your own rules. You can say that we're using PDGA rules. Like I don't believe you need like their explicit permission to just say that. So I think if they did something like that, like that would just might be a bad domino collapse for them. Honestly,
I don't know. It's just I'm just looking at it from Innova's point of view of like I'd be curious if that's ever a risk factor in their head.
I just don't think they'd do it. I don't think they have the guts.
I don't think so either. But I do think that there's going to come a point where like something's going to increase the friction so much that something's got to give. Yeah. Because it's still crazy to me that the PDGA has a major that's like not theirs.
I just don't know what the PDGA does.
That's so funny.
I just don't. Like I get they have a platform that sanctions tournaments and they make rules that a lot of times don't make sense.
Oh, especially nowadays.
Yeah, especially these days, like being able to rest a disc on the outside nub of a basket and it counts.
That's my favorite way to tap out.
Or wedging it into the basket and that counts. So like man, those memberships are pricey.
You get the ratings though.
And nobody cares about ratings anymore.
Some people do.
I care. I don't know. I just don't. The PDGA to me just doesn't really carry any weight because like now that the Pro Tour exists and like they are in my mind like the most important entity in disc golf. I guess they have a cool rule book.
Yeah, well, you know what? We might never know. Let's move on to there's like this.
Didn't we try to start hashtag audit the PDGA at one point?
I don't think so.
Yes, we did.
No, I think you talked about it behind the scenes. I was like, we can't do that.
Yeah, we can.
No.
Why not?
The PDGA literally releases an audit every year.
Every time, it's not detailed enough. Every time I ever say anything bad about the PDGA on Twitter, I get a response from somebody who like is like a board member or something, and they're like, "Well, you are the PDGA, remember? So like enforce change." I'm like, I can't do anything. So that's what I'm doing.
We voted for a board of directors.
Yeah, whoopty. This is what I'm. If this is my PDGA, then I want to know financials. And I will.
You can find the financials.
I will take bribes,
but I will say that it's not. It's not.
I won't
quite
say a word if I get a cut of that salary. Go ahead.
Okay.
My lips are sealed.
Ultiworld also posted recently about the Statmando official rankings, which is very confusing. For one reason.
Statmando, man.
What is
it's Dion Arlen that runs that, right?
Well, he's one of the people, yes.
Is he just like a stats nerd, or did like he go to school?
There's a bunch of like statistics.
Because these guys
I guess you could say nerds. But here's the thing:
crazy.
Is at the bottom it says included a page on our website talking about Statmando, but then you go to Statmando's official rankings and you hit MPO, and there's no data there. So like, do they already give up on it?
Maybe they just haven't actually done it.
Because like the only place I can actually find, because like I was gonna talk about this and talk through it and like whatever, but the only place I can actually find the Statmando official rankings is this Ultiworld article.
Is the MPO on?
No, that was MPO.
No, FPO rather.
Oh. Only place I can find it
is embedded in the article.
And it's only the top 25.
It's like when they embedded it like removed it from the other site.
Yeah, FPO's not on there either.
Statmando, what the heck?
Yeah, so like I was gonna talk about it. I mean, we still can, I guess.
Yeah.
But like this is a old up. Like I was hoping to find the update because this is March 15th, so it's a week ago, and it just has the top.
Everybody is doing world rankings right now to the point where it's like the space race for like.
That's what I'm saying. Is like I'm yet to see one that I look at the entire top 10 or top 20 and go, that looks perfect. Because like this one, you've got Paul, Ricky, Eagle, Calvin. Okay, nothing wrong with that. Then Kyle Klein in 5th. And then Dickerson in 6th. And then Drew Gibson in 9th. And like Kyle Klein just seems...
Conrad in 8th.
Yeah, and they just seem way too high.
I've yet to see when and then like I think I've said this before. There's never going to be a perfect world ranking system.
Yeah,
I guess I don't know,
because this
world rankings don't matter. It's really just it's just
a
like
good talking point.
It's really just a fun thing to just say out when you're talking about a player, like, oh, they're the ranked this in the world. But it is hilarious right now how many different entities, because now the PDGA has their world rankings, UDisc has theirs, because like UDisc came out, everybody typically just kind of bends the knee to UDisc because UDisc is pretty legit, so we were kind of like, okay,
I still think UDisc is the best one we have.
I think so too. I think we were like, okay, UDisc has it, like this is the new world rankings, but then PDGA kind of fired back and was like, oh no, we've got less confusing world rankings,
but then
like,
they don't update them.
Yeah, and then we're the world rankings still, like and then now we got Statmando kind of like, they're like the indie world rankings. Like
Ultra
but check
also
out our system.
Had power rankings for a while. And
power
Ultra
rankings are
power
just opinionated usually, right?
Yes, but they seem pretty legit.
Well, yeah, because that's the easiest way. Doesn't that seem like the easiest way to make world rankings right now?
Maybe not.
Is just look at the players and make a list.
This was published 3 days ago. So as of 3 days ago, it went Paul, Chris, Drew, Calvin, Rick, Luke Humphreys, Gannon Burr, Kevin Jones, Thomas Gilbert, Nico. What's the top 10? Doesn't sound that bad.
I just don't even know what to think anymore.
But that's very recency bias.
World rankings are confusing. I think the UDisc ones are pretty good.
I think we just roll with UDisc.
This podcast is a UDisc World Rankings podcast.
We are a UDisc podcast.
If we ever
Can we
mention...
get a certified seal of approval?
Yeah.
We're giving ourselves one.
Okay. If we ever mention World Rankings of the podcast,
we're talking UDisc. Because there's so many out there now. It just gets confusing.
I really think we should make we need to start doing bits where we make like cheap websites. Like we were going to do the Hall of Fame one. Like we need to make a World Rankings as well. And we don't even have a system. So we can kind of we can be chaotic with it.
No, what we should do is we should take all the other world rankings and average them. And then give us the ultra world rankings.
The super world rankings.
The ultimate world rankings.
Can we call them the universe rankings, though?
Yes, the universe rankings. We'll put an alien on there. No, just the universe rankings,
I'm
and we
picturing
just
the
average
site,
all of them.
and it's just like one background, and it's like a neon purple, and then it's just like text and like Comic Sans.
Why don't we just make the galaxy background?
Yeah.
And then just white Comic Sans text.
Yeah, and that's the universe rankings.
The universe rankings. And we'll just take it. It'll actually be very sophisticated. We just take it and average all the world rankings together, and probably be pretty accurate.
So you get a. Okay, this is how you would do it. You just add a point for where you rank in each one. So if Paul is 111, he would his average would be 1, and then the lowest is how you.
Yeah.
Universe rankings.
The universe
coming
rankings.
soon.
Stay
tuned.
Patent pending, actually. We claim all intellectual property to that.
Intellectual property.
And if I see universe rankings come out, we will sue.
The universe.
But on MPO UDisc rankings, this is updated after Belton, because UDisc also updates
they're
right
fast,
away.
yeah. Well, it's because it's all a system, and they already have the live scoring, so they probably don't have to do anything. It just happens.
Paul's dominance index is pretty high up there now.
Makes sense.
He's pretty far ahead of Ricky in 2nd, Eagle in 3rd. Dickerson has moved up a spot into 4th, jumping Calvin Heimberg. Let's see some other big movers. Sexton didn't play, jumped up 2 spots because of how Kevin Jones and Joel Freeman played.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I don't really like about the UDisc is, from what I've seen, not playing events doesn't punish you enough.
UDisc, though, did show where that happens in golf, and where the golf world number 1 has changed without the player who is now world number 1 playing.
Well, I don't like that attitude, though, because golf isn't perfect at everything.
No, they were just saying this happened. They were saying in individual sports, it almost has to happen.
Okay, it's
hard to find a way for it not to, because you don't want to punish a player, because it's the same thing that ratings we got on ratings for.
I guess what it frustrates me the most, I guess, in disc golf, I feel like there are certain players.
Because Sexton will also be punished if he doesn't play and Kevin Jones plays and smacks everyone in front of him. He's going to jump way above
I just feel like
Sexton.
there are certain players like Sexton Sexton might play every other event this year. It certainly seems that way with the coverage situation. And I don't know. I don't care that much.
But if he plays every other event and he comes in top 10 in every other event, you wouldn't say he's a top 10 player in the world?
I don't know. He's the best in the universe. Where would we put him in the universe rankings, you know?
Well, I mean, right now he's in 10th because I'm looking at UDisc, and that's all I've got in front of my eyes.
I know.
UDisc has Kyle Klein in 6th.
Yeah, UDisc has their top, 6. I would say their top, 8, 9 is, pretty good.
But see, I would put Drew Gibson above Kyle Klein. But that's just my gut.
Because he did win.
It's Kyle. Why do I think Kyle Klein's doing bad right now?
He's not doing great. He just came in 5th this past event, but his previous 2 were meh. I think he was 15th and 26th.
Yeah, so to me, that's not the 6th best player in the world.
No.
Yeah, he went 24th, 16th, and then the Open at Belton, the Silver Series, he went 5th.
Yeah, he hasn't had a great start. But I guess
it's just because
the one thing I do like about the USDGC is you can kind of build a dominance index, and then it takes a while for it to collapse. You kind of can build it up.
Yeah, Nico jumped way up with his performance.
Yeah,
into 13th. Let's see some other big movers. Can you do by?
There was I scrolled so far. Nico was really the most interesting mover.
Corey Ellis and Emerson Keith both jumped quite a bit.
Yeah,
not quite in the top 30 yet though. I don't know. Let's see on FPO.
Well, the FPO is relevant for the reason that there's a new number 1.
Yeah, Katrina Allen has jumped Kristen's Tatar. And now goes Kat, Kristen, Paige, Evelina holds on to 4th. Haley King, Valerie Mandahano's up to 6th. Henna Blomroos down to 7th. Kona's dropped down to 13th. She started the year at 9th in the world. She's dropped down to 13th.
13th ranked in the world. And you got to adjust to field size. And that's bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she lost 1.81 points to dominance index at Belton. If she does that again, she'll drop another spot.
That's the thing is, certain places in the world ranking, if you get especially down there pretty far, just 1 or 2 points in either direction can send you so many places.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Fascinating. All right, so UDisc is the official world ranking. You heard it here.
Until the universe ones come out.
All right, to wrap up this show, until we come out with our universe rankings. To wrap up the show, we're going to go with a little, fair reminder, Texas States is this weekend, so we're going to be having a Texas States preview episode of Grip Locked coming out. What day does Texas State start? Friday? Is it a 3-day?
Yeah, it should be.
So then it'll be coming out on Thursday. The day before the coverage or the event starts, we'll be having our preview show. But before we get into that, to wrap up today's show, we're going to go with our most and least impressive player of the year. So this is a purely just opinionated, strictly biased. The player you're most impressed with and the player you're least impressed with, both in MPO and FPO. We'll go with most impressed MPO first. Go with Trevor.
My most impressed MPO player is Thomas Gilbert. Thomas Gilbert I didn't expect that. I just noticed these first few events that his name has kind of just been popping up, and I was like, man, Thomas Gilbert's really establishing himself this year as a pretty solid player, getting himself towards contention.
Was he not up there last year?
So that's what I did. I was let me look at his first 3 finishes this year compared to last year. Night and day.
Really?
Last year I think he went 20 something, and then he went 58th and 60th. And this year, I think he's been top 20 all 3 events.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was Thomas Gilbert has put in some work, and I think that he is establishing himself as a guy who's going to stay top 20 consistently. So he kind of snuck onto my radar.
That's a good one. This guy snuck onto all of our radars this year, which is Luke Humphreys. He, I think previously was more well known for hosting the GK Pro Skins.
Yes.
And I think he kind of took that with a chip on his shoulder, and he's been very impressive for multiple tournaments in a row. I think his worst finish was Belton in 20-something.
Yeah.
But still in 20-something. So
yeah.
Very impressive by Luke Humphreys so far. So that's definitely my most impressed. On FPO, I'll go with most impressed again. Most impressed FPO player. I mean, not technically most impressed for me because this is what I expected, but I think people are most impressed with her, which is Valerie Mandahano. Mm-hmm. Because I think that I've said it several times. I think she's a top 5 FPO player in the world. I don't think that really she could go out and win multiple times in a row and I wouldn't be surprised. She almost won back to back. It wouldn't surprise me if she shows up to Texas State and takes it down. She's very, very talented, very good, and she's got a very well-versed game. And I think some people are surprised by it, but yeah, I think I've been most impressed with her so far this year.
All right. Well, let's move into least impressed.
Well, you have to do your most impressed FPO.
Oh, great. Most impressed FPO. Sorry. Katrina Allen is my most impressed FPO. I just think that she was kind of thrown to the wayside because of the European players coming over, and everybody kind of expected her to be the odd one looking in. And she's already won twice, and she looks really tough to beat.
She does.
So Katrina Allen, very impressed. I'll just move into my least impressed FPO. It's Kona Panis. It's low-hanging fruit, and this is not the bully Kona Panis show. So I'm just going to let you go.
Yeah, well, I'll go. We didn't want to have the same answer, so my least impressed FPO is Missy Gannon. She really had like a super strong finish to last year, and I think we just expected it to roll into this year. And she hasn't been awful. I think it's been like a 7th place and a 12th place or something like that, but just not what you would expect.
No, I expected her to contend a little more.
Yeah, and it just hasn't really happened. So I've been least impressed with Missy Gannon so far this year, but there's plenty of golf left. She could turn it around. Mm-hmm. My least impressed MPO, similar reasoning, Andrew Marweed. He was someone who last year was like able to sprinkle his name up into the mix. I think he went to a playoff at Idlewild.
A little bit,
Yeah, he was kind of popping off there towards the end, and this year, I mean, not the start you would want if you're Andrew Marweed. I don't even remember what it is, but it's not great.
He just hasn't really been around.
This might be the first time you've heard his name this year.
Yeah, because everybody kind of like, he was like a big deal free agent signing.
Yeah, because they were like, oh, he's an up-and-comer. He's really been popping off. And then he did exactly what you don't want to do if you're a company that signs a new player, which has got worse.
Luckily, they balanced out.
Yes.
DGA did.
Yes.
My least impressed is Ricky Wysocki. You're like, what? He just came in second. Like, yeah, he did. But mostly based on the fact that first of all, you just wouldn't even expect Ricky to not win in the first 3 events. And also, his first 2 events just weren't very good. Like, he just wasn't really in contention to win.
Yeah, just doesn't seem Rick.
Just doesn't seem like himself. And he's just typically very consistent. He's got new discs, but they also discs that he's thrown before. So I don't hear, and when I talk about Rick, I think by the end of the year, it'll all balance out. I don't think he's going to have a bad season, but just so far, just haven't been impressed. Sorry, Rick.
There you have it. That's going to wrap up this week's Grip Lock. Don't forget about the preview show. Gosh, I can't talk. Preview show coming out on, I believe it's going to be Thursday. Talk about all things Texas State. We'll actually be able to go a lot more in depth on the course because we've played it.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun.
Extra insight.
Extra crispy insight.
We'll give you the people who can only throw 350 insight.
Yeah, it'll be great. You're going to love it. But no, for sure, check that out. And other than that, we'll talk to you all on Thursday.